Welcome to Bag Lab.
All right, so if you haven't watched the show in a while or if you're new here, Bag Lab is just a segment where I take your viewer questions ahead of time and I prepare my answer to the question before the show. And so I'm able to give a more detailed answer than my usual. When I answer questions live, the questions come up on the screen, and that's the first time that I see them. And so this week's Bag Lab question is from Cindy. Cindy emailed me and she said, Sarah, I have a question for a Bag Lab segment. I am a knitter and like to make knitting project bags for my knitting friends. They have requested no zippers on the top, as the zippers could possibly catch on the yarn and make holes in their projects. I have been trying to think of creative ways to close the bags that do not require zippers or a drawstring because I am not a fan. As a designer, do you have any ideas or ways to modify existing bag patterns such as the Andalusian pouch or the chickadee backpack? I was thinking of a snap strap to hold the top closed in place of the zipper. I was also wondering if I could use metal purse frames with a clasp for pouch style bags, and if so, what changes or adjustments would need to be made. If you have any other thoughts or ideas, I would love to hear them, Cindy. Okay, so I've prepared some photos. Some of them do have, I know Cindy asked for bags with no zipper. Some of these bags do have zippers, but I've also tried to include some without zippers. And after I show some of the photos, I also have some ideas for two of the things that Cindy requested, a snap strap or um, metal frames at the top of a bag. So I've collected a bunch of pictures from the Facebook group of I don't knit or crochet, but lots of people in our So Sweetness Facebook group do. And there were a bunch of photos. Unfortunately, I couldn't show all of them, but there were a bunch of photos with knitting projects, yarn inside. And like I said, some of them have zippers, some of them don't, but I'll also talk about what can be done to omit the zippers in there. So Danny's going to play a slide with some photos, and I'll just describe each of them. So Bronwyn made this Clydebank tote, and even though the pattern has a zipper on the top, you could omit the zipper as shown here and install a magnetic snap instead. I think this one would be really great for putting lots of knitting, and the bag comes in two different sizes, small or large. Another one from Bronwyn is the Percheron pouch from Minikin Season 3, and she's got her knitting separated in the two separate compartments. So there's some yarn on the bottom, and then another photo is going to come up in just a second, and then there's some other knitting supplies in the top section. So the project is at the top with the pattern. That looks like a circular knitting needle, perhaps. And another project from Bronwyn is, these are going in alphabetical order, by the way, it looks like, one of the Yarn Minder projects in the Yarn Minder pattern. I know Cindy said she didn't want to draw a string, but I just wanted to show several different options. The Sky Harbor tote, it does have a zipper at the top, but again, you could modify that bag with a magnetic snap. The Soda Pop bag already does have a magnetic snap, so I wanted to post a picture of that particular pattern. Another one that could be modified with a magnetic snap instead of the top zipper is the Starling bag. I know there's zippers on the sides, but the main compartment on the top, you could swap that out for a magnetic snap as you could with a Super Bloom tote, and that would just be a really easy modification. You would just insert the magnetic snap in the lining main panels, the front and the back. The Tudor bag does have an option in the pattern for either a zipper or a magnetic snap, whichever one you would choose. So this is another one that you could possibly use. And this is the original Yarn Minder pattern cover. So there's the drawstring, there's the zipper top one, and the purple bag in the back actually has no zipper on the top, but it's sort of a flap with a magnetic snap. So some other projects that I came across that were really great. Inga made the ultimate art organizer with storage for all of her knitting supplies. So this particular project has different pages, and so she's incorporated different pockets and storage area for crochet hooks as well, and all the other supplies that she uses. And there's another photograph that's going to come up in just a second with the third section, and this is it right here. As you can see, lots of space for pockets, and then she's got lots of supplies, so they're all contained in the Ultimate Art Organizer. Patricia made this yarn minder. She modified it, and so even though it has a zipper on the top, she made different sections for the different yarn that she's been storing. Michelle made her yarn minder, and she's been in this particular picture, she was making dishcloths, and so this is her yarn minder bag with all those supplies inside. Dawn made the yarn minder as well as the Kismet trinket boxes, so that's the smaller one. Let's see, Kathy made this Oslo craft bag, and as you can see, her knitting is inside and no modification needed. This bag just has an open top as shown. Karen made the gloss cosmetic bag from Minikin Season 2 actually for her knitting supplies, which I thought was really cool. It already has all of these pockets and sections in the pattern. This is the inside of Bronwyn's Sheffield tool bag. That's her knitting inside. Again, this one does have a zipper on the top because it has the metal frames. Sharon used her piebald pouch from Minikin Season 3 for her knitting. This looks like size large just because it's holding quite a lot. This is Shelly's Faithwell storage bin. The Faithwell comes in 3 different sizes, so depending on how much you need to put inside, that's another option. That's a free pattern video. Madeline is extremely interested in knitting, so she makes a lot of projects to hold her knitting. This is just a mosaic of some of her yarn-themed Sew Sweetness projects that she's made. Let's see, this is Michelle's, no, that's not right. Let's see, I did not write that one down. Let me see, where is it?
On the next one, sir.
Okay, sorry about that. Michelle altered the Clyde bank to make the straps a little different, and again, this one holds her knitting. She's got the magnetic snap, and she actually inserted some grommets on the side of her bag to feed the yarn out of the bag but keep the yarn inside. Shelly has a Sloan travel bag with yarn themed fabric, and her yarn is in the inside of the bag. As you can see from the second photo, there's all her yarn inside. And I think that might be the last picture. By the way, that project that I was fumbling for the person's name, that one was made by Linda, and that was a Hackney pouch, and that was her knitting supplies inside the pouch. However, Cindy was looking for specifically bags with, Danny's going to post one picture on the screen. Oh, okay. Tabby also says, I was thinking of the Oslo craft bag being perfect. Let's see which picture is going to come up first.
Clasp.
Button's fine. Okay, so the Holland Road bag does have a button closure at the top. If you'd like to implement this, however, for a different style bag, perhaps a bag with a zipper that you'd like to swap out for that button style closure, what I did with that Holland Road bag is I cut a piece of fabric and Shapeflex interfacing 6 inches by 2 inches. I pressed it like double fold bias tape, top stitch it, and then I sewed it to the back of the bag, and I attached a fabric covered button to the front, which is that white circular piece that you saw in the front. For that particular pattern, I used a Dritz fabric covered button kit. I believe there's other brands of button kits out there, but it's really nice to make your own fabric covered buttons. So that's what I did there. So if you'd like to utilize that combo, you can use that fabric loop combined with the fabric covered button, and you can add it to things like the Super Bloom tote, or I guess you have a lot of choices as far as that button loop closure goes. You also mentioned, Cindy, in your email, metal purse frames. So Danny's going to put another picture up on the screen. This is the Silver Cinema bag, and this pattern comes in the 2 different sizes as shown. So the bigger bag and then the smaller coin purse style. So if you were looking for something like that, perhaps the bag might be an option. It does secure with the metal clasp, which would be handy since you're trying to avoid the zipper. And so, and everything is included in the pattern instructions, and it's kind of an older pattern, but I did get those metal purse frames on Etsy, and the information for the purse frames should be in the pattern or in the product listing in the pattern in case you'd like to check that out first. So lots of options for knitting, whether you prefer no zipper or if you'd like a zipper. And thank you for all of the pictures that were posted in the Facebook group. I really love the Facebook group for inspiration for things that I wouldn't have thought of doing before. And so whenever I'm looking for any kind of ideas. For instance, in the description to tonight's show, I've linked to, I did a search for knitting in our Sew Sweetness Facebook group, and lots of pictures and finished projects come up under that knitting subject line. So if you're interested in checking out other project ideas for Sew Sweetness bags that you can incorporate to hold your knitting, check that link in the description. And as always, if you go to the Sew Sweetness group, if you're looking for something in particular, you can always type it in the search box. For instance, someone emailed me earlier today looking for information for the triple threat briefcase made with vinyl. And so I typed in triple threat and vinyl in the search box, and some of the past projects that people have made, that particular bag and that particular substrate, that popped up. So you can always utilize the search box in our Sew Sweetness Facebook group. It's a really great tool to utilize. So thank you again, Cindy, for your question. If you would like to submit your own question for Bag Lab, the information is in the description on how to submit your question. And so if you have a really good idea, just read that information and get your Bag Lab submission emailed over to me, and I will answer someone's question about every other week, just about whenever Danny's on the show. All right, so let's see.